Madam Chair, dear members of the network, migrant women face many barriers to inclusion in host societies, which often reinforce each other. The labour market is one area where we see a migration gender gap. A European Commission research study found that around 63% of working-age women migrants to the EU are active in the labour market, in contrast to around 83% of migrant men. The OECD found that the gap in the labour market for refugee women widens due to multiple discrimination they face. Many refugee women experience more disadvantaged situations in their country of origin, such as high gender inequalities, low employment rates for women, poorer health conditions compared to men, and lower levels of education. Those migrant women who do find a job in the EU are more likely to be overqualified for the work that they do. The EU is taking action to help integrate migrants and refugees through the Action Plan on Integration and Inclusion 2021-2027. The Action Plan pays particular attention to the specific challenges for migrant women and girls. Integration is part of a comprehensive social inclusion strategy for all. It should therefore also consider other policy objectives and initiatives in the field of inclusion, equality and non-discrimination. The new Pact on Migration and Asylum emphasizes the fair and effective migration management requires that everyone who is legally in the EU can participate in European societies. While national governments are mainly responsible for creating and implementing social policies, the 7-year Action Plan on Integration and Inclusion proposes targeted and tailored support to member states. It takes into account individual characteristics that may present specific challenges to people with a migrant background, such as one's gender or religion. The Action Plan aims at improving employment opportunities for migrants and refugees, particularly for migrant women, by making it easier for employers to recognize and assess skills. To design effective policies on asylum, migration and integration, the Commission fully understands the importance of working closely with and considering the views of civil society. That is why we set up an expert group. All EU's rules and measures on international protection and asylum, including the EU Asylum Agency, follow a gender-sensitive approach. The EU Gender Equality Strategy also calls for member states to pay particular attention to women and girls in the asylum and migration area. The massive influx of people fleeing the war in Ukraine to the EU, for the great part women and children, put the spotlight on the many dangers of migration. In particular, the trafficking of women and children for sexual or labor exploitation. These vulnerable refugee women and children must be able to find the necessary protection. The European Union has adopted the Temporary Protection Directive, which grants Ukrainian citizens immediate residency rights in the European Union and will allow them to access housing, the labour market, medical care and education for minors. The Commission issued guidelines for border checks, encouraging member states to implement adequate prevention and security. For the member states hosting women and their families, it is important to remember that achieving successful integration depends on the full and equal participation of the refugees in society. This will bring benefits to everyone. I thank you.